People who can't speak aren't family. We're giving her to the old woman. Get out. What are you doing? I pushed past my son and his wife, who were hugging my granddaughter protectively. She was holding her cheek, clearly in pain, and glaring at them. The couple kept insulting their mute daughter. I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to raise my granddaughter myself and took her home. 10 years later, when we returned from living abroad, my son and his wife showed up. We missed you. We're family, right? Let's live together. People who insult others aren't family. Please leave. My name is Margaret Patterson. I'm a 60-year-old housewife. A few years ago, I lost my husband, and I've been living alone in a large house ever since. I thought about moving in with my son, Jack, and his wife, Mary, but decided against it. It felt better to live on my own. For some reason, I never got along well with my son and his wife. Besides, if I lived with them, I'd probably have to help out at the bar they run, and I'm not as active as I used to be. To be honest, I'm not very good at dealing with customers either. It would likely cause stress for both of us, so I chose to live on my own. Even after my husband passed away and I started living alone, Jack never suggested that we live together, and I appreciated that. At last, I was free from raising children and caring for my husband, so I could enjoy my time alone. But once I started living alone, I realized how lonely it was. I didn't have any hobbies or friends, because I had spent so many years focusing on housework, raising children, and taking care of my husband. I spent my days watching TV reruns to pass the time. Even when I tried to start new hobbies, they didn't last. Living such a boring life made me appreciate the presence of my two granddaughters, Emily and Lily. Emily, the oldest, is 10 years old. She's beautiful and very mature for her age. Lily, her younger sister, is 6 years old. She's a little clumsy, quiet, and often feels left out, especially since she's constantly compared to Emily. I loved both of them, but I felt especially sorry for Lily. Jack and Mary would bring the girls to visit every couple of months. Emily would always run to me with a bright smile. Her clothes were always new, and her long hair was always neatly done. But Lily wore Emily's old clothes, and her hair was often messy and untidy. Lily used to be chatty, but lately, she had become quieter. She didn't smile much anymore and often seemed sad. One time, when Emily greeted me with a cheerful smile, I crouched down to speak with Lily. Lily, dear, welcome. I've made some of your favorite sweets today. Let's eat together. Grandma. What about my sweets? Of course, I have yours too. Let's go. I took the girls' hands and walked with them. Jack and Mary got out of the car and called to me. Hey, Mom. Long time no see. Here's a souvenir. Thank you. How have you been? Please, make yourselves at home. Thanks, mother-in-law. I welcomed my son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughters into my home. I served tea and sweets and entertained them. Jack and Mary only talked to Emily and ignored Lily. Whenever I tried to speak to Lily, Emily would interrupt, or Jack and Mary would change the topic. I was worried about how they treated Lily, but I didn't want to get too involved, so I just kept an eye on them. Later, I would regret not doing more. One day, I decided to visit Jack and Mary's house and brought along some sweets they and the girls liked. When I arrived at their house, I reached out to ring the doorbell. But then, I heard Jack yelling from inside. Why don't you say something instead of just being quiet? I was shocked. As I reached for the front door, it opened easily. Without hesitation, I took off my shoes and walked into the hallway. I could hear voices coming from upstairs. You know, it's because you don't talk at school that I'm embarrassed. Jack yelled. As I climbed the stairs, I heard more shouting, followed by a sharp, dry sound. I opened the door where the noise was coming from and found Jack and Mary yelling at Lily, who was sitting on the floor. Emily was standing nearby, waving her hand as if in pain. Lily was holding her cheek, about to cry. Emily seemed to be in pain too, waving her hand around. Hey, Lily. You got smacked by your sister, didn't you? Why don't you say it hurts? If you can't speak, you're not family anymore. Get out. We'll send you to the old woman's house. What are you doing? I pushed past my son and his wife and hugged Lily, who was sitting on the floor. She was holding her cheek, looking hurt. I glared at them. They were all surprised, but quickly got back to their usual selves. Mom, what are you doing barging in like that? You should have rung the doorbell first. Jack yelled. Yeah, Margaret. Aren't you being rude? Mary added. What's rude is what you're doing. Yelling at a little girl. I said. Jack, aren't you a father? Aren't you ashamed to treat your child this way? And Emily, why did you hit your sister? For the first time, I raised my voice at Emily. She seemed scared and looked down at the floor, mumbling, because. Mary quickly pulled Emily towards her and hugged her, glaring at me. Please don't blame Emily, Mary said. I glared back at Mary. Protecting Emily after she hit her sister isn't what a mother should do. Jack, who had been standing and watching, pointed at me and yelled, Mom, what are you thinking? Get away from that idiot. You're the idiots, I shot back. You should apologize to Lily. Huh? Who's going to apologize? Jack and Mary didn't seem sorry at all. They kept insulting Lily. Lily, who was still in my arms, weakly grabbed my clothes, with a blank look on her face. Had they been treating her this way all along? Before I could think much more, I picked Lily up and said, I'll take care of Lily. I can't leave her here. I left the room, leaving the three of them stunned. After standing there for a moment, Jack came running after me, smirking. Thanks, Mom. I didn't know how to deal with this mute. I was shocked by my son's words when Mary appeared behind him. She was holding a worn-out little bag and a backpack. These are Lily's things. Please take care of her, Mary said, handing me the bags roughly. Lily and I were both silent, looking at my son and daughter-in-law. They seemed happy that Lily was leaving. I couldn't believe what was happening. I left their house without saying anything. I walked home in silence, took off Lily's shoes at the entrance, and then looked at her. She was holding back tears, biting her lip. I gently hugged Lily and patted her back. It's been tough on you, I'm sorry I couldn't help you before, but it's okay now. Grandma is here for you. I will protect you. From that day on, Lily and I lived together. The hurt she had experienced from her parents caused her to stop speaking. Even simple things like saying good morning were too hard for her. Her teacher told me that Lily couldn't communicate with her classmates or teachers, so I took her to the doctor for a checkup. The doctor diagnosed her with selective mutism. He explained that the stress from her parents and sister had caused extreme anxiety, making it impossible for her to speak. But the doctor reassured me that with time and a safe environment, she would start speaking again. On the way home, I bought Lily a cute notebook and pen. Lily, if you want to tell me something, or anyone else, you can write it in this notebook, draw pictures or write words, then try to say the words out loud, little by little, okay? Lily quickly opened the notebook and began writing. She showed me the page, and I saw that she had written, "Thank you Grandma," along with a drawing of my face. She tried to say it out loud but couldn't, and looked down, disappointed. Lily, you're doing great, keep going, one step at a time, well done, here's a gold star. I patted her head, and Lily looked up and gave me a small smile. Lily started using the notebook and pen at school to communicate. I could see that she was gaining confidence. Gradually, she learned to speak again, and 2 years later, she was speaking normally. Grandma, today at school, when Lily came home, she would excitedly tell me about her day at school. Seeing her so full of life and confidence made me feel at peace. Then, one day, I visited the school for a parent-teacher conference. When I entered the classroom, a kind teacher greeted us. Lily and I both said, "Hello, teacher," and sat down. We talked about Lily's behavior at school and at home. She was shy and fidgeted in her seat. The teacher showed us Lily's report card. Her grades had improved steadily, especially since she started living with me. She's been reading difficult books and solving tough problems almost every day, the teacher said. I smiled and patted Lily's head. Ever since she learned to speak, she's been passionate about studying at home. She loves reading challenging books and studying, and when test days come, she shows me perfect scores. I framed and proudly hung up all of Lily's perfect test papers on the wall. One day, the teacher suggested, How about having Lily take an IQ test at the hospital? IQ test? I asked, unsure of what she meant. The teacher explained that Lily might be gifted, which means children who are naturally very smart. Lily seemed just as smart, if not smarter, than an adult. The teacher thought it might be a good idea to get an IQ test to help create a learning environment suited to her exceptional abilities. So, I took Lily to the hospital for the test. It turned out the teacher was right, Lily was indeed gifted. I was amazed by her abilities. When I asked her how she felt about school, she said with a flat expression, "Honestly, it's too easy and boring. I want to study something more challenging, but if I tell the teacher, they get confused." Hearing this, I began to think, Lily probably wanted to study at a middle school or high school level, but she hadn't even finished elementary school. I wasn't sure if she could handle it. I talked to her homeroom teacher, who told me about the option of skipping grades in the US. The teacher suggested that if Lily went to America, she could study at a higher level. This reminded me that my late husband's brother lived in America, though I hadn't spoken to him since my husband passed away. He might be able to help us. I contacted him, and he agreed to support our move to the US. Relieved, I talked to Lily about the idea of studying abroad. "If it's with you, Grandma, I want to go, but I also want to graduate from elementary school with my friends first," Lily said. I smiled and said, "I understand. I'll learn English by the time you graduate." Lily smiled too, feeling relieved. She made many happy memories in elementary school and graduated without any problems. Now, she could still stay in touch with her friends, even from overseas. I didn't tell Jack and Mary about the plan to study abroad. I was afraid they might want to take Lily back if they found out how gifted she was and use her for their own benefit. In America, Lily quickly adjusted to her new life and skipped grades. I supported her every step of the way. I felt so happy when Lily said, "Studying is more fun now." Her talent was incredible. After a few years, she enrolled in Harvard University, where she studied business. Before I knew it, she had started her own company. "I want to repay you, Grandma," Lily said enthusiastically. But to me, she had already repaid me enough. Lily had grown into a wonderful adult. Her achievements were featured on the news in America and around the world. She became a famous figure, and Lily's name was known everywhere. I wondered what Jack and Mary thought about Lily's achievements. I would be happy if they regretted how they treated her. 10 years after Lily started her company, we returned to our home country for work reasons. We rented a new apartment, and one day, the doorbell rang. I thought it might just be a notice, so I opened the door without thinking. "It's been a while, Mom, how have you been?" Jack said. I was shocked to see Jack and Mary standing there. I had changed my contact details and was living far from my old house. How had they found me here? Mary ignored my surprise and called out into the house, "Hey, Lily, are you here? It's your mom. I've come to see you after all this time." "What do you want?" "Please don't approach my daughter," I said, trying to stop them. "Don't be so cold, Mom, we are Lily's parents," Jack said. "That's right, mother-in-law. Let us meet Lily," Mary added. "Wait, don't just barge in like that," I said, but they pushed past me and entered the house. Before I could stop them, Lily peeked out from the living room. "What's wrong, Grandma?" "Wait, what's going on?" Lily was just as surprised by the sudden visitors as I was. I turned away awkwardly, while Jack and Mary seemed excited to see Lily. "Oh, Lily, we've missed you. You've grown so much," Mary said, reaching out to hug her. Lily brushed off her arms, saying, "If you want to talk, I'll listen. I'll prepare some tea, so please wait on the sofa." With that cold response, Lily went to the kitchen to make tea. Jack and Mary sat down on the sofa, casually reminiscing with Lily, but they didn't seem to care about her feelings. I grew concerned and called out to Lily, but she winked at me, signaling that she could handle it. So, I sat down across from them. It didn't take long for me to learn the main issue. The pub Jack and Mary had been running had gone out of business due to poor management. Their older daughter, Emily, had gone off the grid after she started working, and they had no idea where she was or what she was doing. Now, Jack and Mary were living in poverty, not knowing how long their savings would last. "Lily," Jack said, "would you consider supporting us? You ran away when you were 6, but before that, we raised you. You should pay your respects." "Lily, you must have felt lonely not being able to see us all this time, right? But let's live together now and make up for the time we lost as a family," Jack said, pleading with Lily. I couldn't stand watching my son and his wife beg her. It hurt to say this about my own son, but I couldn't understand how he turned out this way. Where did I go wrong in raising him? Lost in my own guilt, I was snapped back to reality by Lily's voice. Idiots aren't my family. My only family is Grandma. Please leave, Lily said, smiling coldly in a way I had never seen before. But Lily. Wait. I heard Jack and Mary call, but Lily didn't hesitate. She firmly pushed them out the door and locked it with a click. Through the window, I saw Jack and Mary walk away, their shoulders slumped in defeat. Grandma, what's wrong? Lily asked, turning to me with a smile. Should we move? She added with a laugh. She had secretly been planning to build a house for us to live in, designing it with accessibility in mind for me. Thank you, Lily, I said, touched. She blushed and laughed shyly. Months later, we moved into our new home, which Lily had designed with thoughtful features to make it easy for me to live in. We were comfortable, and our shared memories were framed and displayed on the walls. Even the notebook and pen we used when we first started living together were there. Every time I saw them, I was moved to tears. Today, I decided to cook Lily's favorite dish for her. With that thought in mind, I went to the kitchen to start cooking.